Bolivia is one of those countries that gets way less attention than it deserves. Tucked in the heart of South America, it's landlocked, high altitude, and full of contradictions. And in 2025, it's even more fascinating than ever. So, what do you need to know about Bolivia right now? Let's just start with the basics. Bolivia has two capital cities. Yeah, two. La Paz is the seat of government and the highest capital in the world. Sucre, on the other hand, is the official constitutional capital. So it's like a political power sharing deal with extra altitude. And now here's where things really start to twist. Bolivia is one of the most diverse countries in Latin America, culturally, geographically, and politically. From Andean peaks to Amazonian rainforests, it's a country of extremes. And its political system, also full of drama. Bolivia is a presidential representative democratic republic. Try saying that 5 times fast. That means the president is both the head of state and the head of government. You know that from other countries. The president is elected by popular vote and serves a 5-year term. But, and this is important, Bolivia has a turbulent history when it comes to presidents sticking to the rules. The current president in 2025 is Luis Arce. Yeah, still. He was elected in 2020 after the chaotic exit of Evo Morales and the interim government that followed. Arce was Morales' former finance minister, and he represents the same party, the MAS, the Movement for Socialism. But Arce, and I'm apologizing for my pronunciation, has tried to position himself as his own man, not just Morales 2.0. In 2025, that balancing act is still ongoing, and MAS is still the dominant political force, but it's more divided than ever. And there are factions pro-Arce, pro-Morales, and everyone in between. So while the party's name is about movement, a lot of the politics feels more like a tug of war. And the opposition? Fragmented, noisy, and mostly struggling to unify around a clear message. Bolivian politics is really not for the faint-hearted. The National Congress is bicameral, made up of the Chamber of Senators and the Chamber of Deputies. Senators are elected by proportional representation, while deputies use a mixed system. It's complicated, but it was designed to reflect Bolivia's complex ethnic and regional makeup. And speaking of that makeup, Bolivia is officially a plurinational state. That means it recognizes 36 different indigenous people and languages. Yeah, 36! And it's not just symbolic either. The 2009 constitution elevated indigenous rights and traditions to national status. And now let's talk economy. Bolivia is rich in natural resources but poor in development. Lithium is the new gold rush here. The country has some of the largest lithium reserves in the world, mostly under the salt flats of Salar de Uyuni. And in 2025, Bolivia is still trying to figure out how to make that pay off without selling out. The government wants state control, foreign investors want in, and environmentalists are waving red flags. So it's a delicate dance. And as of this year, it's still more tango than triumph. Inflation is relatively low in 2025, but growth is sluggish. And Bolivia's economy is still heavily dependent on gas exports, especially to Brazil and Argentina. But reserves are shrinking and the global market is shifting. So Bolivia is racing to pivot from gas to lithium, from raw materials to added value. But like the country's mountain roads, the path is steep and full of potholes. And what about social issues? Well, poverty and inequality are still major challenges here, especially in rural areas and among indigenous communities. But Bolivia has made progress in education, healthcare, and infrastructure, especially under the MAS governments. Universal healthcare, subsidies for school children, and rural development projects have made a real impact. And still in 2025, the country remains deeply divided between urban and rural, rich and poor, traditional and modern. And culturally, Bolivia is a powerhouse. It's the only country in South America where the majority of the population identifies as indigenous. And that influences everything: language, dress, festivals, and even food. In 2025, Bolivia is leaning into that identity more than ever. And there's a growing pride in Andean culture, from Aymara fashion to quechua music. And let's be honest, Bolivian street parades might be the most colorful on earth. And foreign policy? Well, Bolivia is trying to stay friendly with everyone while keeping its sovereignty intact. It's still part of ALBA, the left-wing Latin American bloc. But it's also strengthening economic ties with China and the European Union, especially over lithium. And relations with the United States remain complicated. There is cooperation on drug control, but also plenty of suspicion. And now let's talk about something that always stirs emotion in Bolivia: access to the sea. Bolivia lost its coastline to Chile in the War of the Pacific back in the 19th century. And they have never gotten over it. In 2018, they took Chile to the International Court of Justice. And they lost. But in 2025, the dream of regaining sovereign access to the Pacific still lives on in national discourse. It's more than politics, it's pride. So, what do you need to know about Bolivia in 2025? It's complex, it's diverse, it's a country wrestling with its past, navigating its present, and cautiously shaping its future. Its political system is democratic, but never dull. Its economy is resource-rich, but still trying to break free from boom and bust cycles. Its society is indigenous, vibrant, and defiant in the face of global conformity. And Bolivia doesn't always make headlines, but when it does, you can be sure there's a whole story behind it. And now you know why. This is Outside Views. Thanks for watching.